a busy week in the NFL and a busy week for me. As OTAs have started, 21 teams have decided not to attend. They're going to attend virtually. For the Dallas Cowboys, particularly those players for the Cowboys, have decided to attend, as some of them, including Dak Prescott, Lyle Collins, Jalen Smith, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, and Tyron Smith, all have financial obligations that if they show up to OTAs or voluntary OTAs to get a little more money. And to know that all these guys have either been in a Pro Bowl, been on the All-Decade team, have won Rookie of the Year, or have had any amount of success, you want to see what they're doing to adapt that, to add that to your game, and sometimes make it even your own. Some people that are doing that is Giovanni Bernard, who is deciding to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a one-year deal contract with very little money. This is basically the LaShawn McCoy deal that they did over the course of last year. He had a little, LaShawn and Giovanni Bernard have a lot of similarities. Both are on the older side, but have a little bit left to give. Giovanni Bernard obviously played most of his career up to this point in Cincinnati, is a good receiving option to what the Buccaneers do not have as the running back position. Leonard Fournette's a power back. Ronald Jones had a hard time catching passes last year. He fumbled on most of the passes that he caught. So adding this would be a big move, and that's what they chose to do. Julian Edelman, Tom Brady's former teammate, has announced his retirement after failing and a physical, making him eligible for the 2021 season. Now, this is not totally true. This is more, it originally came out before in a tweet that Julian Edelman has been playing with a bad knee for 2 years. So the last time they won a Super Bowl, he was with a bad knee, and he was hiding it as best as he could. And he was not playing at his best, but he could still play fairly well. He's had a great postseason career. He was one of Tom Brady's favorite targets, alongside Wes Welker, Randy Moss, and Rob Gronkowski. He knew how to get open. It was very difficult to cover Julian Edelman. I think if you're the Cowboys, for instance, you want someone like that, it doesn't happen very often. To know the Patriots had that guy, it was, for any team, including the Cowboys, it was difficult to cover. So, for Julian Edelman, and also on the top of that, it was said that Julian Edelman, even if he had another knee surgery, it would never repair his knee to the point he would never be able to play a full season. He could play 3 games and then have to miss 3 or 4 games. Could play another 2 games, miss another game. He would never play a full season. So congratulations on a great career for Julian Edelman. Will he be a Hall of Famer? Probably. When? Who knows? James Conner has signed with the Arizona Cardinals on a cheap 1-year deal. Jadeveon Clowney signed a 1-year deal with the Browns worth $10 million. Very cheap deals. Mainly, the Browns were in the Clowney sweepstakes before he went to Tennessee. Conner has been looking for a home for the last few months, and now he gets to go to Arizona. And both Arizona, it seems, it's very blatant, but in both seasons, Arizona and Tampa are creating their own super teams to try to defeat the Kansas City Chiefs, which is not a terrible idea. The Atlanta Falcons have signed Cordell Patterson to a 1-year deal worth $3 million. A good move. If you need him at running back, he can play running back. If you need him at receiver, he can play wide receiver. He's a great kick returner, one of the best in history, and his career has always been on top in terms of his return game. Keanu Neal officially signs with the Dallas Cowboys. That was a 1-year deal worth about $3 million. $2.5, $3 million. J.C. Jackson signed a second-round tender with the New England Patriots to stay in New England, making him a free agent next year if he does not sign a contract. He will be an unrestricted free agent if he doesn't sign with the New England Patriots next year. The Browns have released Sheldon Richardson, who was due $12 million in the 2022 season, and that's the reason why. If you remember correctly, about a week ago, I said Clowney if he goes to Cleveland, he would be beneficial there because Richardson, Vernon, and Garrett could all help him with the load. And now Richardson's gone. There's no Larry Ogunjobi. There's no Richardson. Who else do you have to play that position? It makes his difficulty of play much more on the higher side. The Bears have signed Marquise Goodwin to a 1-year deal. Alex Smith has retired after 16 years. Now, the Marquise Goodwin deal we don't know much about. The Alex Smith retirement comes as a little bit of a shocker. As he said, that teams probably were not very interested. Teams weren't interested in giving him a starting job or even a backup role. And supposedly, according to Mike Fisher, who works for CowboysSI.com, said there was reports saying that Cowboys were interested. That is not true. They didn't even discuss it. They were discussing veteran backup quarterbacks, but Alex Smith's name never came up. So, congrats, Alex Smith, on a 16-year career. And hopefully, we wish you nothing but the best in whatever venture you move on to next in your life. Rashad Robinson, one of the Cowboys' cornerbacks, was suspended earlier this week, 2 games for PED use. And it could be one of those situations where even if he doesn't play, does those suspension games go away? If he's not on a team, does it go away? We'll see what happens. Because you may have to play a little more diverse and be a little more all over the place. We'll see what happens. Jordan Reed retires after 8 years. TJ Ward retires after 10 years. Both players have had injuries. TJ Ward hasn't played to what he played in Denver in the 2015 season when they won the Super Bowl. Jordan Reed has had concussions for his whole career. Trying to make a comeback last year, it just didn't work out. So, congratulations to both those guys, and hopefully you guys are happy in your next venture of life. Adrian Peterson wants to go to a contender, especially at this age of his career. Adrian Peterson is, I believe, 34, 35, so he's on the other side of 30, and they save that for running backs. That's when you start going down. Yeah, AP still looks like a monster, and he still runs like a monster. He's like a raging bull. And he was talking about a month and a half, 2 months ago, about that 2 teams called him, that they were interested. So, if he can go to a team that gives him a chance to win, I would be all for that if I was him. And if I was myself, because that would be very entertaining. The Eagles quarterback situation, this has multiple situations into this. They've drafted 2 quarterbacks in the last 5 years before round 3. They end up, Carson Wentz has his worst year before drafting Jalen Hurts. He brought him to the wild card before getting hurt, and Josh McCown had to come in, and we all know the rest of the story. Carson Wentz plays terrible. Doug Peterson's play calling was terrible. Team was playing terrible. Hurts came in. Magic started to happen. Even though they didn't win many games, they won one game when Hurts was there. Of his first 4. But they fired Peterson. They trade Wentz to Indianapolis. They bring in Nick Sirianni, who's going to be now the head coach, supposed to call plays even though he's never called plays before. Because in Indianapolis, Frank Reich was the play caller, not Sirianni. And now they bring in Joe Flacco, and Sirianni is preaching competition. He preached like Jeopardy. I understand that. Aaron Rodgers was on Jeopardy and he did a really good job. But then he coached and he said competition like rock, paper, scissors. Like, and you're like, the game that you play when you're like beneath the ages of 10, that game, these guys are 24, 25 years old. In this game we're going to play at 24, 25 years old, and he said, what, to preach competition. He's not going to live in Philadelphia very long if it doesn't work. If he doesn't win his first year, this team will boo him, the fans will boo him, the media will boo him. Remember, this fan base threw snowballs at Santa Claus because they were so irate at the team and its coaching decisions. They're going to boo him out of the building if he doesn't do a good job. So if you're a Sirianni, good luck. You're going to need it. But also, it is disrespectful to not give Hurts the starting job and give Joe Flacco the chance to be like, oh, I can be a starter, even though last year I went 0-4, and the combined record of me and Hurts is 1-7. Let's see. It's confusion on top of confusion. The NFL is set to release their 2021 NFL full schedule, on May 12 at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Wayne Gallman signs with the 49ers. Probably because that was the only team that gave him a shot, and he was like, yeah, I'll go there. The new NFL rules, we're going to go through this pretty quickly. The NFL is now eliminating preseason overtime. For 1 year, they're going to experiment on an onside kick rule. They did not go for what the Eagles wanted to do was a 4th and 15 rule. They go with 9 players on the hands team instead of 10 or 11 players, because onside kicks in 2018 were at anyways between 12.4 or 12.7%. Then they dropped down after 2018. They went to 6%. Last year they went back up. So that's why they didn't really want to change this rule. The competition committee, the coaches subcommittee, and the Ravens are permitting referees, the replay officials, and officials in New York to talk to the officials on the field to make replays faster, make calls faster, so they can speed up the game a little bit, so the games don't really overlap. Not a bad idea. We'll just have to see how it plays out, though. By Chicago, they want to ensure that the enforcement of all accepted penalties on a field goal or an extra point attempt would be used on the same play. Basically, if you accept the penalty and you want to retry the kick, if the defense does another penalty, and it has to be automatically put onto the PAT attempt or on the kickoff, same way. By the Rams, they are to add a loss of down after a second forward pass that from behind the line of scrimmage, or from a pass that goes backwards goes back to the line of scrimmage. This is because of the Tom Brady thing. that happened against the LA Rams on Monday Night Football, which no one caught, where he threw two balls. He threw a ball, he threw a football, it got swatted back, he caught it, and then he threw it again, and no referee saw it. I don't know how. I still don't get it. Chiefs, by the Chiefs, to expand jersey numbers for certain positions. DB would have 1 through 49, running back, fullback, tight end, wide receiver, and halfback would have the choice between 149 and 80 through 89. Linebackers would have the choice between 1 and 59, 90 through 99. And offensive linemen would have the choice between 50 and 79. Defensive linemen would have the choice between 50, 79, and 90 through 99. The competition committee tells that this rule is more for teams, that if you have a tryout or a visit, you have to tell the league office, you have to submit papers to the league office to tell them throughout the year, such as from camp to the Super Bowl. But if it's an unrestricted or restricted free agent, they don't have to. But what do you guys think? What do you think of the new NFL rules? And what do you think about a possible jersey change for your favorite players? You decide.